And welcome to this edition of the Potomac Local News Podcast. I'm your host, founder and publisher of pwcgop.gop, Uriah Kaiser. Joining us on the podcast today is Jacob Alderman. He is the chairman of the Prince William County Republican Committee. He's going to talk to us today about the upcoming the fundraising dinner that they hold. I believe it's the Lincoln-Reagan Dinner, if I'm not mistaken. Don't want to get that wrong, but I'll let you talk about that. Jacob, thank you for coming on the Potomac Local News Podcast.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So let's set the stage here. Prince William County, in the middle of deep blue Northern Virginia, right? It has been some time since Prince William County elected a Republican for president. It has been some time since it's had a Republican majority on its even local board of county supervisors. But in November, we saw a shift back toward the right as Donald Trump won the presidency. More Republican voters turned out in Prince William County, or maybe it's fair to say more voters voted for the Republican. So with this shift back toward the right after years of veering left in politics, what does that mean for Republicans in Prince William County?
Yeah, I think it means that we're seeing a momentum shift across Northern Virginia, but I think Prince William County was certainly the most pronounced. I think that we're seeing people who are fed up with a rising cost of living and higher taxes and higher gas prices, and they're voting with their pocketbook. And obviously, we didn't win Prince William County in November for President Trump, but it was the single largest shift in the Commonwealth to the right. And I think that is a testament to President Trump's strategy to reach out to really every voter in every demographic and every nook and cranny that he could find them, and then the local and state party as well. We are highly organized in Virginia, and as a Republican Party, and there was no neighborhood that we wouldn't go into. There was no number we wouldn't call to really get that message out there about, again, just lowering your taxes. People want more money to spend on themselves, their family, retirement, things like that. So I think that's the shift that we saw.
I want to ask you about that. You said there's no neighborhood that you did not go into or you will not go into. And that's very interesting to me because about 15 years ago when I started Potomac Local and was getting into covering local politics in Prince William County, there was, of course, Corey Stewart. And for 15 years, Corey led the Board of County Supervisors as chairman. And one of the things that he would talk about all the time, the reason why he credited his county-wide win in places, not only just the western part of Prince William County that's known to be more conservative in the Haymarket and the Gainesville area, but he did well in the eastern side of the county as well, in the more blue areas like Woodbridge and Lake Ridge and Dumfries and what have you. And he credited his success for going into those neighborhoods, going into those churches, going into those places that most people did not expect to see a Republican, a white guy, just a conservative, I guess they were just not used to having those types of people coming into their places of worship, where they shop, where they go to dine out, do things with their family. So when you say there's no neighborhood that you won't go to, why is that now? What has changed?
Yeah, so I think that, and like you said, I mean, it was, I got involved with the party 12 years ago now, and I grew up on the eastern end of the county, born and raised in Prince William. And back when I got involved, we had a majority. The Potomac district was Maureen Cadigan, Supervisor Cadigan. We had Supervisor Mike May and then Ruth Anderson in the Occoquan district. Obviously, Corey came out of Occoquan. He was the supervisor there first. So he had a good sense for what mattered to a lot of the people in the county that, to your point, is not more traditionally conservative. And it's one of the questions that I love getting is, people will talk to me and say, well, what's your message to the Black community? Or what's your message to the Hispanic community or the Muslim community? And I said, we don't have a message to individual communities. We have conservative message, which is an American message. Again, we support small businesses. We support keeping more money in the hands of individuals and less money in the hands of government. We want to cut red tape. We want to solve the issues that matter. At the local level, it's focusing on things like traffic. It's focusing on things like crime and making sure that our police are fully funded and have the support that they need. And Corey knew that, better than most, coming out of the eastern end of the county. There really was no neighborhood he was worried about going into. And people might say, oh, you're a conservative, you're a Republican, I'm not supporting you. He was able to start that conversation at the local level. And really, that's our goal as a Prince William Republican Party, is to create a unique brand. And we're not differing from our national counterpart or our state counterpart, but Prince William is unique. And you said it in your opener, we're right in the heart of Northern Virginia. The types of things that are going to matter to your everyday voter here is not going to be the same that matters to people in Fauquier or down in Orange or Spotsylvania or Richmond. So for us, it's about really focusing on the things that matter and getting that message into every single corner of Prince William County. And I think that there were a few years where we saw candidates, lean more into just focusing on the base, and that's not a winning strategy. Certainly not in Prince William County, but I would go as far as say as Virginia. We've got to re-engage with the middle. And we saw that with Governor Glenn Youngkin in 2021, and he really energized the party, and he really, reset the balance here. And we're just taking his lead and running with it.
Yeah, I gotta imagine that there are far more Democrat voters in Prince William and maybe even Virginia because of just the way the population lies and the way the state has gone politically over the past 20 years. And you're right. Historically, we've heard Republicans talk about those fiscal issues, be lower taxes, more fiscal responsibility, giving back more money to the taxpayer, being pro-business, creating jobs, those sort of things. But in recent years, especially with the proliferation of data centers, you can't throw a stone around here and not hit one, it seems, anymore. We've seen some strange bedfellows because we're seeing the local conservatives become more of the conservationists, the one who say, listen, we shouldn't pave over every last acre of open space in our county for the good of business, to create, for more business opportunity. We need to preserve, we need to conserve open space. And that's a message, when I was young, that was owned by Democrats. You did not hear Republicans saying that. Republicans used to laugh at tree huggers that would do that. So now we've seen on the local level some Republican lawmakers or policymakers on the Board of County Supervisors, their priorities on lands conservation now align with local lawmakers who now are in Richmond wrangling with these things. And overall, and we just saw the county budget in Prince William County approved last night, going back to these data centers that just keep coming, we're not seeing that money go back. I mean, we were told for years these data centers are going to produce all of this extra tax dollars, and it's going to lower the tax rate. It's going to lower the tax bill. While the tax rate is lower now in Prince William County, actually lower than in Stafford County. I'm going to get into that a little later. Stafford County residents now pay a higher tax rate than Prince William County. But again, with these data centers, that money isn't going back. The tax bill continues to go up. So with strange bedfellows and all of these data center issues, are these, what do you make of these changes?
Yeah, I would say, I think that as long as I've been involved, the Republican Party is the party of conservation. I think that there's always been a push and pull between your traditional environmentalists who want to push different regulations and things like that, make it harder for businesses to do business. I think that there is this idea in people's heads that Republicans are wanting to dump sludge in your river. And stuff like that. And that has never been the Republican Party that I've been a part of. It's never been the Republican Party that I've known and supported. I think it's a balanced approach. And I think that that's what we're seeing on our current board of supervisors from the Republicans. I will say, I think that the budget vote was a travesty for Prince William residents. I think that every single resident should be calling their Democratic supervisors and complaining. It's not that the money isn't there. Data centers have been a boon to Prince William County's coffers. I mean, there's no two ways about it. There could be an argument about where they should go, and there is a good argument to have, obviously about preserving rural and open space versus opening it up to new industry. But take that aside for a second. The data center industry provided tens and tens of millions of dollars in new revenue for this county. And there was an opportunity for the Board of Supervisors to do something historic, and instead of giving a tax break to residents, a real tax break, all they did is they went for the bumper sticker. We lowered your tax rates, right? And they're not technically lying. They did lower our tax rates. But the average resident is going to be paying I think it's $250 more on just their real estate tax. There was a real opportunity to eliminate or have the meals tax. And what do we get? We get a delayed 1% decrease. So at the end of the day, the Democrats had the opportunity to actually show that they care about residents and what matters to them and allow them to spend more money. And instead they chose to tax and spend, which is a huge disappointment. And I would just go in to say there was a proposal made by Supervisor Vega to fully fund Prince William schools. And for anyone who wasn't, paying attention in detail to the budget, Prince William County schools asked for $950 million. They said that would cover their needs. Then they came and said, we have additional wishes. That would bring it up to 965. The Democrats on the Board of Supervisors said, we're going to give you 992 million, 27 million additional dollars. That money could have gone into a tax break for residents. That's not appropriate fiscal stewardship. That's just spending money because you don't want to give it up. And I think that budget vote was an absolute travesty for Prince William residents.
And going back on that meals tax, and it's interesting, I had a conversation with a restaurant owner today in Woodbridge. We did a podcast, and I'll be putting that up here shortly. When that meals tax was created, that 4% meals tax on top of sales tax, state sales tax already collected, that tax generated about an additional $35 million. Some of that went to schools, but all of it was surplus, right? They weren't trying to fill any gaps. They didn't have any budget hole they were trying to dig out of. They simply created that tax because they could. And they did so on top of that without the legislature changed the law at the state level in Richmond to where they did not have to hold a referendum and put it before local voters. They could just do so because before, I believe it was 2020, they had to hold a referendum. That'll change. And as soon as Richmond changed that law, they enacted that tax. So again, that 25% reduction, that 1 cent reduction, going down from 3%, from 4 to 3% takes effect January 1st. Before we switch in and finally talk about the upcoming fundraising dinner, you will have Winsome Sears, the Lieutenant Governor, who is running to replace Glenn Youngkin as governor here in November. Donald Trump did very well. Obviously, he won the election, but he did better in Virginia than we thought he would. And so my question, and I ask this of everyone I run across who is on the Republican side, who is involved in politics, with Donald Trump knowing that he's not going to be on the ballot again. And he's always been a firebrand. He's always been able to bring voters out. But I don't know if Republicans know how to win without Donald Trump, and especially here in Virginia, that despite Glenn Youngkin's win in 2021, is still very purple, if not blue state. And so, if you ask the bookies who might win in November, is it going to be Abigail Spanberger, the Democrat, or Winsome Sears, the Republican? The odds are in Spanberger's favor just because of the history of politics in this state. So so without looking out to 2028, let's focus here on 2025. And what do Republicans need to do to win, given that Donald Trump is not on this ballot and won't never be again?
So there's a lot to unpack there. So Donald Trump obviously is probably one of the most unique political figures this country has seen, certainly in my lifetime, probably far beyond that. Republicans won before President Trump, and they'll win after President Trump. And again, I think it's because at the end of the day, we are grounded by our creed. We're grounded by conservative values that speak to people on an individual level, on a family level. We want to support them. I think that you asked those same bookies in 2021 who was likely to win, former Governor McAuliffe or Glenn Youngkin. I think that it would have been overwhelmingly in favor of McAuliffe. And we showed them that, that focusing on the things that matter, and I will say this, the difference between the two parties has never been more stark. It's never been more clear. There's a party that wants to take as much money from you and spend it because they know what to do better than you do. And then there's a party that wants to empower you to spend money how you feel is right for you and your family. There's a party that wants to give you, to take your ability to educate your own kids and to teach them morals and values because they think the state should be the one teaching those things. And then there's a party that wants to empower families, empower parents, and really put them at the forefront of their own children's education and upbringing. So, and then it goes even further into businesses. Again, this is the pro-business party, and there is no two ways about it. And I think that Governor Youngkin has showed that. We've seen Virginia, jump up in the ranking in terms of best places to do business. My intention is for Prince William County to take more than its fair share and leading the way to continue that trend. So I think it's really just about, again, going in post-Trump this year, next year, all the way through. It's just going to be about getting to every voter that we possibly can and sharing a conservative message and letting them know, it's silly as it sounds, do you want less money, the same amount of money, or more money in your bank account? Do you want more power or less power over your kids' education? Things like that.
And so as we get into that, about your upcoming Lincoln-Reagan Dinner, and I'm going to ask you to give me all the details on that and how people can attend and come out and hear the gubernatorial nominee, Winsome Sears. Democrats, especially here in our area, have spent so much time talking about electing candidates that look like me, that talk like me, that live in the neighborhoods that I live in, and I think that means minorities, people of color is the common term that we hear so much. Well, Winsome Sears is that person. She is black. She comes from I forget, was it Jamaica?
Jamaica.
Yeah, Jamaica, right? So so she is a minority, and she is a success story. And so as you talk about the Lincoln-Reagan Dinner and what's coming up, talk about why it's important that people who live in Prince William County, who have been told the message you should vote for people who look like you, who talk like you, who have similar backgrounds as you, why should they pay attention to what Winsome Sears is going to say here at your dinner coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, I'll start with this. Republicans are not the party of identity politics. We want to serve the voters based on the issues that matter to them. And we want to, regardless of if they're black or white or Hispanic or anything else, we're going to have the same message going across the board. With that said, and I think that this is a great example of Republicans in the state of Virginia this year, this is going to be the most diverse ticket that has ever been fielded by the Republican Party. Obviously, it was sad news to see Pat Harity, in our neighboring district of Fairfax, drop out for health reasons. I'm glad that he's doing what he feels is best for himself and his family.
He was running for lieutenant governor.
Yes, sir. And we do have our ticket set. So we have obviously Winsome Sears, who, as you mentioned, she's a black woman. She's a Marine vet. She's an immigrant from Jamaica. I mean, she is the embodiment of the American dream, here now to run to represent this party at the state level is just an absolute testament to to the state as a whole and the Republican Party. In the kind we want to make sure that we respect and we value people from all different backgrounds. And again, if you're coming and you've got a strong message and you've got a strong case to make, we're going to elevate you. That now applies to our Lieutenant Governor nominee, John Reed, who's an openly gay man with a husband. And then Jason Miyares, who's obviously running for re-election, whose family fled Cuba under communism. So this is an incredibly diverse ticket. And again, I'm never going to ask someone to vote for Winsome because she's Black, or John Reed because he's gay, or Jason because he's Cuban. With that said, though, it just goes to show that the Republican Party represents all creeds and all sexes and all religions and orientations and things like that. We don't discriminate based on what you look like. Democrats are again, they're the party of vote for me because I look like this, and they're the first ones to cast you out if you don't agree with them. So I think that really is the message that we're going to be pushing, is just the same conservative message that we would normally. And so with that said, you could hear Winsome Sears, Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears, speak at our dinner. We do our annual fundraising dinner, the Lincoln-Reagan Dinner. This year it's going to be Saturday, May 3rd at 7 p.m. at Foxchase Manor in Manassas. This is already gearing up to be the biggest one we've ever had. It's going to be, I think, at least a third bigger than anyone we've ever had in the past. We're on pace to double, maybe even triple our normal, gross and profit. So, and again, I think that all goes to show the momentum in Prince William County, and the momentum from businesses, and the momentum from activists, and the momentum from local elected officials and things like that, who all are coming out to support because they see the value that this party has to offer in getting out there and sharing that message. So that's what we're after.
Well, Jacob Alderman is the chairman of the Prince William County Republican Committee. Again, that Lincoln-Reagan Dinner is coming up at the Foxchase Manor, as he said, just outside Manassas on May 3rd. What website, how can they find out more about it?
Yep, they can go to our website, which is pwcgop.gop, and they will get a pop-up that asks them if they want to buy tickets. They are selling fast. I think we're going to have over 300 people there. We've only got maybe 40 or 50 tickets left to go. So get them quick, and we'd love to see everyone there.
All right. Thanks so much for coming on the Potomac Local News Podcast today, Jacob.
Yep. Thank you so much for having me.